This is Crescendo, the music philosophy podcast. Hello and welcome to this week of Crescendo Podcast. I'm sorry, I'm feeling a little sick today, so I'm sorry if I sound a little nasally. Who knows, that could be post, that could be me messing with you. No, I'm sick. Today we have an awesome episode. Let's see, what do we have? We have, music is Bellota Rush by Sherlock, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We have, for the main feature, we have Remus, who is the CEO, founder, I don't know, listen to the story and you'll understand who he is, but he is an executive person in the record label Delta Sigma Records, which is a small but growing label full of, like, really professional stuff that just blew my mind when I heard it. So, they deserve to grow, they deserve to get more followers, they sound awesome, I love their releases, they have a ton of content, and I'm here to talk with Remus, who was the founder of the label, and I love it so much, and it's really good. So, here we go. Let's go into for the music today. We have Bellota Rush by Sherlock, and I heard that for the first time, and I could not believe my ears. I seriously was like, who is this guy? And I was looking online, right, like trying to find shit. Like, how does he not have more of a following? It's crazy. I heard this first time, I was, Oh, so good. Just one of those tracks that you just go, what is this madness? It's called Bellota Rush. I have one more apology to make this week due to a terrible sequence of poor planning on my part. I have to apologize. There won't be a Yes It's Music this week. We're going to try to get one next week. This is a very, very poor decision on my part to start it as the school year starts for both of us, so we literally have no time, either of us, so we're gonna really try to get it. We'll see if it works. He's not even around half the week, so we'll give it a shot, but I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Here's Bellota Rush by Sherlock, and up and coming is Remus. So let's start. So you run Delta Sigma Records, right?
That's me.
That's you. So tell us a little bit about what that is and what you do, how it started.
All right. So I don't know. Well, it's actually a super long story.
No, that's good. I want to hear the whole story. I've talked to people before that have labels, and I just love to hear the whole story.
All right. Well, first of all, this goes back, all the way to, say, like 2014, late 2014.
Okay.
This was even before I was even on the project, but I have some friends of mine. Well, I wasn't friends with them yet, but future people that would be friends with me. They
yeah.
There was this Google Plus community on Google Plus, obviously. Called it was like a Monster Cat fan base. If you've heard of Monster Cat, which you probably have.
I heard of Monster Cat? Okay, sorry. Keep going.
But so it was a fan community, and I guess there were some wannabe producers or people who were just starting to produce. And there's one kid who used to go under the name Soundacity, but now he goes under the name Cineris, I believe. But I haven't talked to him in a while, but that's irrelevant. But he started a label called Newbie EDM.
Oh, that's not discreet at all.
Yeah. But that didn't last too long. I mean, I can send links to you later, of course, if you want to hear.
Yeah, I want to see those, yeah.
Yeah, but I guess they wanted to make something more serious out of that, so that at the January 1st, 2015 was the start of the, I guess you could call it a rebrand of a label that would be called Nocturne EDM. And that was actually the first label that I ever released on. This was actually a very long time ago now, over a year ago. This was, a new label. So I had that one release there, and I discovered it through my one friend, through the Google Plus community that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. So eventually, as months passed by, I actually before that, I started my own record label / promotional channel, I guess, called Surfing on Soundwaves, and we were supposed to specialize in chill music. It didn't last very long either. It was only YouTube based. We only got like 15 subscribers. Yeah, but then later I eventually, because the owners of Nocturne EDM didn't really want to do it anymore, I owned Nocturne for a while, and I tried to take it off the ground a little bit, but it didn't really work out. We had a couple releases here and there. Weren't so great.
Yeah.
But it was a start. It was the base of what would later be Delta Sigma, because as months passed on, I was like, I don't want to run two record labels anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So I decided to merge them into one label, which we now know as Delta Sigma. So that our first release was on September 28th, 2015. Yeah.
That's still kind of crazy early, though. You guys are still kind of crazy. Now, I know it doesn't feel that way because it takes so much work to run a label, but like you're thinking about it, like, what is it? What was it? What was the date?
September 28th. So like 11
like
months
a year.
ago. Yeah.
That's 1 year. That's nuts. Like that you've come this far in 1 year, even though it feels like, I'm sure it feels like 5 or 10 years.
It's crazy just to see how far we've gone. It's just insane. And like, it's completely exceeded my expectations, and I'm really happy about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you get the first, so what did you do to start off? Like, how did you get the first artists to come? Like, did you already have them?
In a way, yeah. Because at the time when it first started, I was still very based in the Google Plus community that I keep mentioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you had the people from the Google Plus community?
Yeah, some of them there were artists, and some of them there wanted to submit. Yeah, but it's actually really crazy though, because this is a completely another story that could have a whole episode to talk about. But
yeah,
the one artist, which I'm sure many of our, I guess you could call them fans or followers, will probably know about, is an artist under the name of Resolve.
Resolve.
Yes,
I don't know if I know that name.
He was well. I'll explain, but
okay.
He or she, we'll just call him he, because he's had like these weird sex change things. We'll just call him a he.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. But excuse me. He was one of our first artists, I guess you could call him. But we later found that he was stealing tracks. So he was one of our like what we considered to be one of our best artists at the time, and he released the first track. Yeah, and we found out later that he was stealing tracks, which he had done before, but we thought, we'd give him a second chance.
Right. Yeah.
I could keep talking about, how negatively that affected me.
Yeah.
And stuff, but I think, the same thing has happened to Red Cyan. It's happened to Silver Skies.
Yeah.
It happens,
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
So that happened, and then you kept going. So what did you? How many artists did you have at that point?
Wow, I think that was back, say, February, I believe. So at that point, we probably had around 150, 125 followers, and that's actually, that incident is actually how I met Bloomy, because he approached me saying, "Hey, I run a YouTube channel that's all about helping stop thievery in the music industry."
Yeah.
And that's how I met him, and that's how we started talking. And then, just a couple of weeks ago, he had his release on Delta Sigma, and it's one of the fastest growing tracks we ever have. So ever had.
What was the track? Underruns. Yeah, that's the first one in your spotlight. Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. It's pretty good. I liked it. So he has a channel on thievery. So what did he say about that?
I think since we first started talking, the channel has kind of been abandoned, or they just didn't continue it.
Yeah.
But I believe there was an artist called Hawken or something that was stealing tracks or making tracks entirely out of loops, and he was getting a lot of credit, for shit that he didn't do.
Right.
So.
Oh, so he just built the YouTube channel off that.
Yeah, that's what I believe happened, but
yeah,
I'm no expert. Yeah,
that's cool. That's kind of like a silver lining that came out of that whole thing.
Yeah,
that's like your kind of semi-viral hit, at least proportionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Let's see. So, can you explain a little bit how the internal operations of the label work? Because I know how they work for the most part, but I don't think a lot of people don't understand how a label actually operates.
I mean, there's different degrees, I guess you could say. Because, some labels, they're very professional. They have very specific contracts and stuff. But basically how our label works is that all you have to do is just fill out the form that we have in our bio, just submit a track, and then 1 to 2 weeks later, we'll tell you if it got accepted or denied. That's all there really is to it. And then if we like it, we'll give it a release date, we'll put some art on it, we'll send a track to some promoters if we think they're good enough, and then we release it. And then we'll send it to distributors like iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, all that cool stuff. You want it to be a free release, then we'll just release it through the Artist Union, and you can download it for free.
Right. Yeah. So you don't have artists that actually sign to it. They sign to it for a track or for a few tracks.
Yeah, because I think I guess you could say there are 3 primary goals for the label, in my eyes at least. The first and the most important is to distribute tracks that we feel are of high quality.
Right. The stuff on your SoundCloud profile is just so professional, crazy professional.
Thank you. But the second would probably be to... I wouldn't necessarily want to call it to promote, because we're not a promotional channel, but to bring smaller artists who deserve attention to the spotlight.
I totally agree with you, yeah.
And then the third is to help other artists, because I myself am a producer with, varying degrees of success.
Right.
But I think, when I first started producing, the reason my music sucked for like the first 2 years. I mean, it still sucks. But,
I feel you. Yeah, no, my music is not that good either.
But the reason I felt like it sucked so much is because I had no one to support me and to give me advice or criticism. So I feel like...
I totally agree.
Yeah, because I feel like our label is like so close-knit, and we're like a family. We can give each other criticism and help each other out. And I'm really shocked in a great way to see how many people I've brought together. And that makes me happy.
Yeah, that's cool. I love the way that kind of it becomes not just like a distribution platform, but it more brings people together and stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. It says in your profile right here, it says label and family.
Hey, gotta rep the fam.
Yeah, that's good. So, what do you think sets you apart from other labels in your opinion? I know you talked a little bit about the professionalism part, but is there anything else that you think is different?
I mean, I think every label is unique in a way. I think we've had periods where I've tried too much to be a label like Silver Skies. I think that was one of the first inspirations, I guess, for the label, but if you could call it inspirations, but I think over time, especially like right now, I'm starting to realize that we need to do more to set us apart. I think the one thing, I guess every label could say this, but the one thing that sets us apart from bigger labels, I'd say, is that I do what's best for the artists, you know, just because like I try my best to make the artists happy. I don't do this to make my label, or I don't do this to make me happy. I do this to make the artists happy. Because I think they deserve it, because they've worked hard and they've gotten to this position. Like, for example, I've had people come up to me for various reasons. They say, I don't want to really release this anymore. And I mean, at that point, the song's already been signed and has a release date on it. But I feel like, you know, maybe this is a flaw about me, but I want to help people. I don't want to.
No, that's not a flaw at all. That's not a flaw at all. That's like a good thing.
Yeah. And I mean, it may not be best for the label in the long run, but I feel like, you know, these people deserve to be catered to. You know, I don't run this label for the label. I run this for them.
Right. That's actually, I think that does set you apart, because you see, like, there's some labels I've seen that are they do end up being kind of like a family too. Like I know Monster Cat is massive, but they do go on about the Monster Cat family and stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just a really big family. But no, but what I think is, I think that's right, because you see a lot of things like spinning record, like that's just like, it's just like mainstream stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they're not it's just a production line. So I think that's good. I think that is what's going to eventually get you to that level, hopefully. And I hope you do get to the level, because I would love to see this continued. That's cool.
Thank you.
So I was just going to say, what fascinates me is that a label like you guys, which produces stuff that I actually like more than a lot of major labels, has a much smaller fan base, even though it is growing very fast. Like 300 followers in a year is actually it's a pretty good ratio for someone's like small. And that doesn't seem right to me. So I actually have a thing posted in the wall in front of my monitor, to the left of my monitor here. And it's an article from Wired, which I read, and it's called The Beat Goes On. It was from this month's issue, July. I just guess it isn't July anymore, but it says the last paragraph is, quite simply, there just isn't going to be much of an audience for every piece of work you make. Maybe only a handful of people will ever hear your song, watch your video, or read your essay. But hey, one of them might be the guy who co-wrote Sunday Morning with Lou Reed. So that, I think, just like totally captures everything. And the whole article is great and totally inspirational. So that to me just feels not right, you know? What do you think about that?
I mean, some people might say, no, that's not right. But I mean, it's just what happens. I mean, there are some songs that I think, you know, are absolutely beautiful and stunning on the label that get no attention, like Nobody's Overclocked or Jack the Muss's Cloud9 Ambitions. I think those songs are wonderful, and I think they deserve more attention. But I mean, the unfortunate reality is not everybody's going to want to listen to your music, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a reality you have to learn to accept and push to bring the track to a bigger light, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So do you think it's better for an artist to do what they think is better, what they think is the best work, and have some people like it, but like let's just call it the majority of people don't, or to have artists, or to make music that you think that few people are going to say meh, but the majority is going to like? And I would say the first, except that the counter argument for the second is that you would have that music needs a fan base. Like, the part of what makes music is the fan base. Which one would you pick, do you think?
I mean, honestly, it's just entirely up to the artist, if you ask me, because I think in music you could always argue that music is more than just the music itself. You could argue that it's part of culture, but I mean, honestly, music culture sucks, man.
Like, I agree.
All, like, the drugs,
I agree.
Like the music and the drugs and shit and like the fanboys just fucking sucks. Like, I mean, sure. I mean, I would like Delta Sigma to get a bigger fan base, but you know, I don't want, I don't know. How could you say, I don't want to betray the integrity of myself. I don't want to betray the integrity of the artists and my friends. I don't want to betray that because that's more valuable to me than popularity, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree. Well, if it does help, I'm literally on your page and I just clicked follow. So maybe you can have both. No, no, that's good.
You know, every little bit helps.
Every little bit helps. You're now at 356, and hopefully by the time any listener actually listens to this, they're going to be higher. That's good.
Right. Good.
good. Making progress. So where do you think EDM is going to go in the next few years? Because you've seen it so rapidly change. Like, it's such a crazy pace. Where do you think it's going to go?
I don't know. Just EDM is, or just, I prefer the term electronic just because when I say EDM in front of my friends, it's like, oh man, you listen to Martin Garrix and Skrillex?
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much more than that. There's so much more.
I feel like just electronic music in general is just so bizarre because it's such a broad term. It could be anything from like XXYYXX to Noisia, or from like, it's just such a weird genre. It's
it could be like 9 Inch Nails or I don't even know, Martin Garrix, right?
Yeah, it's just so bizarre, and I think that's what's so great about the genre because it's constantly changing, and especially with with the internet being around and electronic music spreading so quickly like that, I think even in a couple of years we'll start to see the fading away of mainstream artists and start to see more smaller artists pop up. Like instead of there being just so many big celebrities or just so few big celebrities,
I totally agree.
Where we'll get more people who are more obscure but still have a bit of a fan base, if you know what I'm saying. But
I totally get. It's like the indie rise, the rise of the indie.
And just that's exactly what I mean. And I mean, I think it's so unique just because, again, like the internet and culture and ideas spread so quickly and then they're gone like that. Just
right.
I think, we might, I mean, look at like 2011, 2012, dubstep was the biggest thing, and now like, oh, it's dubstep, nobody cares. And I feel like it's just so unpredictable, you can't tell where it's going to go next. And I think that's what's really cool about it.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. Oh, it's almost like the artists kind of define it too. So like dubstep, I don't know. I kind of got introduced to the electronic scene like kind of recently, like within the last 2 years or so. And I'm with you that like I didn't really, dubstep kind of feels like a minority to me. And I in the sense I just got introduced to it. So I don't quite, like I never got a sense if whether dubstep was a thing or not. So it's like it's changing so rapidly. It's just like, it's crazy. It's moving so fast that it almost seems like it's going to collapse totally.
I got you, but I feel like it won't collapse, just it'll go up and down. It'll just change so quickly overnight. I think that's what's cool about it.
Yeah. So what is your feeling on how musicians make money on the internet? So like I know you guys have this whole thing, and what's interesting is I've never seen a label that does like the freelance stuff like that. Like it's just track by track, and instead of signing an artist to it. And I think that's totally brilliant. But what do you think about like how artists are going to make money in the future?
I mean, I think the internet is not the place to make money. I mean, I want to make music my career. I'm sure many other people want to make music their career, but just the internet is not the place to start. Like, to start, you should like, I guess the first place you're going to be making money is like live shows or merchandise, just because where everything can be, pirated off of, illegal Russian sites or just streamed for free. I don't think music online is going to be generating very much money for the artist per se.
That's interesting. I've heard people say the total opposite, is that the internet is going to be the complete money hub of everything. But I'm slightly more with you on this side, that It's almost like the internet is only good for publicity and growing your audience.
Yeah, well, it is good for that. And going back to what you said about like releasing stuff for free or just, just signing tracks, is that, certainly not a new idea. I mean, Silver Skies was the first label that I knew of that only signed tracks. I believe Red Cyan may have done the same thing at one point, but it's just honestly up to the label. I mean, I don't really think there should be any regulations in the industry. I just think, it is what it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm with you.
Yeah.
So do you guys have a plan for the future? Where are you going with this label?
There have been times when I've been really down and I'm like, this label's going to go nowhere. But I think especially recently, I think it's going good. I think we're moving in the right direction. We're getting a lot of different submissions from very talented artists and very talented people. And, I hope this label lasts a long time because I feel like these artists deserve to get this kind of attention for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you. And what struck me is that you guys had like 3 labels before this, right? So it's like...
Oh, yeah, only 2. Yeah.
You're kind of praying that this one's going to go right.
We've already got like 10 times bigger than some of them. So
literally 10 times bigger. But like, what would you be okay if this didn't work out? I really want it to work out, but like, how would you feel at that point? Would you start a new label?
I don't know. I guess you can't really say what's going to happen next all the time, but I certainly hope it does. But if not, that's okay. Honestly, I think I just want what's best for the artists overall. I want what's best for my friends,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say that, but I think that's genuine. I think that's the one of the first genuine things I've heard from people who own labels. So thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, well, it was awesome to be here. Keep doing cool stuff, man.
All right, as promised, even though we didn't have Yes It's Music, excuse me, I'm still sick. I do have a new product in the music industry, which I know a lot of people also liked. This is so what I have today will blow your mind. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, this is crazy. So it's called, the product last week was called the Seaboard Grand, the Seaboard Rise. The product this week is called, it's called Moji, and it was a Kickstarter. And what it is basically it's this little sphere. It's like an inch by an inch that you stick on anything. You can stick it on your desk. You can literally stick it on anything. It's got a little sticky thing that you can wash off when it gets not sticky anymore. Like you can put it on a car. Well, that was in the product video. You could put it on a car. You could put it on exercise equipment. I don't know. You could put it on anything. And the idea is that it goes right from that to your phone into the headphone jack. Sorry, iPhone 7 users, but it goes right into the headphone jack. And what it does is you could tap around and on the object near the proximity of the little thing, and it sends signals to your phone, and that transposes it into MIDI, and then it makes sounds come out of it. So basically, you could turn anything into a musical instrument, and like you can make it switch. It's like crazy the amount of stuff you can do with it. So like you can make your desk, you could make it not lock onto pitches, so you could make it just go, the farther you go from the center point, you go like the farther you hit it, and you can just kind of experiment that way. Or you can actually set it to pitches, so you can actually like hit certain parts of your desk and make it play different music. So I think that's the part that I think is most crazy about this though, is that not that you can turn your desk into an instrument, but that's pretty cool. I think the most awesome thing about this is that you can turn anything into an instrument, and when you do that, anything becomes its own instrument. So it's not just like you can use this on the surface of anything. This is the new instrument. So I think it's crazy that you can have an entirely different musical experience, you know, from a hanging girder than on your desk, even though it's the same device. So it has this infinite realm of possible instruments that you could learn to play and learn to compose on and play on. And I mean, it does seem kind of a novelty in some sense. Like, it does seem like kind of a gimmick, but I mean, it is, that to me is crazy. I mean, I'm a theremin player, so I play the theremin. And if you don't know what that is, then what are you doing listening to this podcast? Go, you can look it up. It's like a UFO type thing, but like the idea behind the theremin is that you wave your hands in the air and it makes pitches. So it's like this really obscure thing that's totally impractical, but if you can master it, it's pretty cool. So that's what I think is going with the Mojis. You can buy the Pro on mojis.co.uk. There's also a new product they're coming out with called the Mojis Play, which is more like a video game, and less like a turn it into an instrument. But you can buy it for $140. Actually, I think it's like $130 now. Pretty good. I would get it. I'm interested. You can check out Delta Sigma Records online on SoundCloud. They're on iTunes, I think. They're everywhere. They're pretty cool. Delta Sigma Records, or DSR, as some people call it. You can check out Remus. He's also on SoundCloud. Who else? You can check out Sherlock. He's really good. This is the music, and right after the outro, you can hear the last part of Bellota Rush, which is my favorite, just so you know. Awesome. Thank you for listening to the show. You can subscribe on iTunes. You can follow me on SoundCloud. You can like on SoundCloud. You can comment on SoundCloud. SoundCloud's kind of the hub. You can watch it on YouTube. You can do everything on YouTube. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can like on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening to this week's edition of Crescendo Podcast, and stay tuned for next week. Next week's going to be awesome. So thank you so much, and adios. Here's the last bit of Bellota Rush by Sherlock.